I think most people, when they buy the property, if you ask anyone buying real estate, is that an expense or investment? Everyone's going to tell you it's an investment all day
Yep.
long, right?
Yep.
I think then once you get to the point of like, great, now we need to renovate it, we need to redesign, we need to do all of this stuff. I think a lot of people will put up a guard that says, well, that's an like, I didn't account for that. Like that's an expense that I wasn't planning. Alrighty, welcome back to another edition of the Hideaways Show, Behind the Curtain. Mike, question for you: are we rocking a Red River Gorge hat over here?
Dude, this is what I wore while I was down there because it's already a little dirty, and I just haven't changed it yet.
I'm digging
But
it.
yes,
I don't know if I'm like stoked or if I'm more upset at the fact that you didn't tell me there were these Red River Gorge hats that I could purchase.
so Travis's friend makes them.
Oh,
Custom.
really?
Yeah. So Adrian has a Red River Gorge onesie and a Red River Gorge blanket. Yeah. When he was born, they gave him a bunch of stuff, and this was one of the things that they get.
That's cool. You gotta be, that needless to say, all in on the Red River Gorge, right?
Yeah. Trying, man. Trying. Got to promote.
That's right. That's right. It's a cool hat, though. I'll have to snag me one of them eventually.
Yeah,
So
I like it.
I always feel like I'm wearing the same Oakley hat, but I'm a man of simplicity, right? If you gave me 5 of these hats, even in the same color, right? I just wear a different one every single day. I'd have a label underneath it. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and it just repeats.
Yeah. I am very much the same. I've got like one style shirt and 4 colors.
Mm-hmm. It's one less decision you have to make when you're waking up to start the day, right?
Yep. I'm all right with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So well, let's dive into today's topic. I think what we're going to talk about today is very relevant to a recent conversation we've had, but to a lot of, hosts in the STR space. And everyone always talks about it. We harp on it all the time. And I think a lot of people say it and maybe don't really understand what it takes and what it means. And we're talking about the art of actually, that's the keyword right there, actually standing out. I think it's one of the most misunderstood concepts of what it means to stand out. And I want to kind of peel that back and see what that's made up of, where that comes from, and dive into it a little bit and give the listeners a few tips at the end.
When you say actually standing out, you're saying like when all the cabins out there have like queen beds, you put king beds in?
That's it. That is the only thing that I want to dive into today is king versus queen, right? I think that point exactly is it, right? I think there's a lot of, hosts out there, and I think we were at that stage, right, where we thought, in fact, we were standing out. I remember a conversation that I had with someone close to me right away that I was like, yep, we're going to put, K-cups and we're going to put coffee grounds out. He's like, what? It's a rental. Why would you put that out? One, didn't understand the space we're getting into, but 2, I had the choice. I had 2 choices I could have made. One, I could have listened to that person and been like, we're not going to provide coffee. It's a rental, right? Or 2, I could say we're going to provide coffee, or we're going to take that and we're going to provide the best coffee bar possible at that place. And I think that's the piece that hosts need to get to is like, whatever you are thinking will work, you almost need to take it times 5, times 10.
Yeah. Way further.
Right. And if it feels odd, uncomfortable, maybe too bold, I don't want to say 100% of the time, but most of the time,
you're on the right track.
That's you're heading down the right path.
Yep. So, dude, we got that message the other day from the guy that was basically asking for consulting, but not for consulting. He's under contract for them, and I'm gonna read it real quick because I think this might be where this is coming from, and it is like it's so teeter-totter where he could be spot on the mark, but the way that he said it, it's I actually feel like my wife right now. Every time she's mad at me, she's like, you're yelling at me. I was like, I didn't yell. I was talking like this. What's going on? She's like, well, it's your tone. And I'm like, oh, your tone. It's your facial expression. I'm like, this is just my face, But anywho, that's a side note. Sorry, Courtney. But this guy, he said this, and immediately I was like, you don't get it. Right. And what's funny is what he said is spot on in the right direction. But the emphasis that he put it on and the ease at which he was just kind of like, let's just throw it in. And then he ended it with, and I want to get it live as soon as possible. And I was like, that's the wrong approach. Right. So what he said, he's got this big house, big 7,000 square foot. I said, we're under contract. I said, we plan on making the pole barn a place to hang out with TVs, couches, ping pong, pool tables, kids games. Also planning on changing a lot of furniture and adding some more beds, sleeper sofas to maximize the amount that it will sleep and adding any amenities that will help it rent. Right. And I was like, oh, and a hot tub. And then at the end, he said, want to get it on the market as soon as possible. And he's on the right track in terms of like doing those things, but the speed and the like where the emphasis was getting it done fast, not getting it done well or stand out or correct. And to me, I was like, I don't know, maybe I'm completely wrong. I hope I am, because it'll be a killer property if he does it the way that we were like wanting him to do it. But it's not. It's like 7,000 square foot. That's outdated. It's a beautiful house, but it is outdated. It needs a lot of upgrading in order to make it stand out. So anyway, I think that's what you're talking about, is like the simplicity approach to like just add another, add a hot tub and all of a sudden you'll be unique, which doesn't work anymore.
Right. And I think back to that point of, and I'm speculating here because I have not talked to this person, and I don't think what they're thinking is necessarily wrong, but I think it's limited, right?
Yes.
If you want it to be as successful as possible and reach, the heights that I think most people aspire to reach with their properties, there's always going to be this like close, circle around you and there's this level of bias where people are going to tell you, and you're also going to believe yourself, that, man, that is such a cool property, right? I would go stay there, or I know a lot of people that would go stay there. And unless I'm just not talking to the right people, and unless it's super unique, most people that tell you that will never stay at your property. No offense to anyone that said that to me, but everyone that has said that to me, I haven't seen a single person that said that go visit or stay at our property.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And so take that with a grain of salt. But at the same point in time, these are the people that don't want to, if you're going to spend, $500,000 to $1 million on a property, obviously these people aren't going to be like, oh my gosh, that is the worst thing ever, right? Like the people that are close to you aren't going to bring you down most times. They're going to lift you up. They're going to be like, maybe in the back of their mind, like, maybe not the nicest property. It's going to do great for you, right? Yeah. And you build off that. Versus, I think you want to start surrounding yourself with people who will challenge you and say, hey, like, what you want to do there, adding the hot tubs, adding a few extra beds. I don't think the heads and beds strategy works as much these days in the unique and experiential space.
Yeah.
But like, he's taken the first step, right? He's heading in the right direction. The problem is he took the first step and he's still standing on the first step of the stairs, right?
Yep.
And we're asking him to get to the top step.
Yep.
Right.
Well, the other thing that gets me is like he's mixing approaches. Right? If you want heads and beds, by all means do that. But you don't buy $1 million property in a location where the average purchase price is $200,000, right? For a heads and beds approach, you buy a $200,000 property or $150,000 property. And then you just cram it full of people at a really low ADR and you maximize your occupancy. And there's a whole market of people that want that, which is perfect.
Yep.
Right. This is, you can't blend the two, in my opinion, where it's like, I want the high end, nice property, but I also just want to like fill it. And to me, it's like, you got to pick one. Oh, how many times we say that on here, right? And pick one, pick your target market, pick your amenity stack, pick your, all those different things that go into this. And we pushed him. I sent him a very long living video that was like, if you don't do this, don't buy this property.
Right. Right. Because it sounds like he's almost like in no man's land, right? He's in the middle, right? Even though I said he was on the first step, but he's almost in no man's land where he's like, the property's not nice enough to demand a high enough ADR, but maybe it's too big and too expensive for the people who are looking for a cheap stay, right? It's kind of like this no man's land of like, there's a small, group of people that may book it versus, and I think this is the part that scares a lot of people. And I want to touch on this point next. It's like, but Mike, like I'm spending X amount of dollars to purchase price. Now you're telling me I got to go put another $300,000 into it to get it to a level that's going to rent, right?
Yeah.
And I think it becomes the question of, is it an expense or is it an investment, right? Like I think most people, when they buy the property, if you ask anyone buying real estate, is that an expense or investment? Everyone's going to tell you it's an investment all day long, right?
Yep.
I think then once you get to the point of like, great, now we need to renovate it. We need to redesign. We need to do all of this stuff. I think a lot of people will put up a guard that says, well, that's I didn't account for that. Like that's an expense that I wasn't planning on, right? I just want to purchase the property and rent it. So is it an expense? Is it an investment? I think honestly, I think most people know the answer to that, but most people deny what the actual answer is. And it's an investment. At the end of the day, you are investing into the return on the property through, redesigning, if it's an older property, coming in with new finishes, new furniture, new amenities, but doing it in a way that stands out, right? I'm not saying it's going to cost, $500,000, but I'll tell you right now, for a property that size, it ain't going to cost $5,000.
Well, that's what I said. I was like, it's going to take substantial investment to get it where you want it. And part of that, like, we've gone through it a million times on, do we do it? Do we hire someone to do it in terms of like the design, all that kind of stuff? And I put in there, I was like, you're first going to have to like plan it, right? You need a designer, you need a landscaper, you need all these different things, because there's two phases to it. Having the phase, yes, right? But if you throw a hot tub, throw a sauna, throw a putt course up, but none of them go together and none of them fit the property, it's going to flop in advertising, right? So it's like, if we put that on Instagram, nobody's going to care, right? And that's the worst case scenario, because you bought $1 million property, you invested $300,000 into upgrades, renovations and whatnot. And then all of a sudden nobody cares, right? So you've got to just say, hey, I'm diving it, right? I'm going to do it. And we've proven so many times now that if you do dive in, it'll work, right? People love that. They want to leave that wherever they are and go have a different experience there. But there's also so many ways that you can go in and measure, and I'll say like safeguard to a certain degree. Like the kid, actually, we were just talking about this kid that like flips houses based on Instagram polls, right? You could do the same thing for this, right? What's the biggest reaction that I can get, the biggest vote poll, whatever, that I can get for these amenities through, whether it's AI drawings or renderings that architects can do, or whatever it's going to be, to get people to vote on it. We used to do that in the ad space a lot. We'd put products up for sale that we'd never even made before, right? And it went to a page that said, oh, this is sold out. Go here to be notified when it comes back, right? And what we would do is we would just measure the sign-up rate. Right. And there's ways to do that in this space as well, but it's definitely going to take being super unique, right? And having all of the things, which I think when we were looking up this property in particular, we were comparing it to other markets that were bigger and better than the one that we're in. So I think when you're unique, being unique in the Gorge is a whole lot easier than being unique in Gatlinburg. Right. To your point, and really understanding your market, knowing what you're going into, knowing what you are going to need to do in order to change the game, level up what everyone else is doing.
So on that point of like it being, challenging to be unique in Gatlinburg, not as much to in the Gorge. And I think, again, this is a philosophy of don't be so short, sighted on like, it's going to crush it today if I kind of throw a few things in, right? Great. It may crush it today, and you may be correct today, but come and talk to me in 5 years when the Gorge blows up. And that property all of a sudden is no longer making as much money as you thought. And you're like, guys, like I'm still trying to pay back that initial investment of getting this property boosted. It ain't working, right? That right there is, I think my biggest fear, and I think a lot of people's biggest fears, but I think you have to go all in on standing out, being unique, and being bold. I think a perfect example, I want to go back to a point you mentioned of like the attraction and the attention on social media. And I did something yesterday that I didn't really intend on doing, but then I did it. I'm like, I'm curious to see the results. I'm not going to name properties what they were, but one property is a nice property that we have. And that's it's nice, right? It's nice. And it's a very average rental in the Gorge. Then there's one of our top performers. I posted within 30 seconds after that video. I'm like, I want to know like how these do, right? Hooks were pretty similar. The music transitions all was the same. Call to action was very similar. The property that was like cool, like it was a good property, did 10x less so far in views and engagement on that, right? And there's nothing different in how we put the reel and the content together. Sure, you could say they're different like styles of clips, but I don't think it was the fashion of how we put the content together, right? It was the product that in the initial second that caught someone's attention. They're like, whoa, what is that, right? Versus if you have the same hook and you have a very average property on social media, people aren't looking to look at an average cabin on social media. They're swiping right next because they're looking for a funny video. They were never looking for a vacation rental in the first place. So I think to that point is people's attention today is so short, and people are starting to look for more unique, improved experiences because people are starting to see that across the board. Not just hosts, guests are seeing that as well, right? And they're starting to expect that. Sure, you're going to get, it's not to say that a property like that wouldn't rent, right? You're just after a different audience. And unfortunately, a lot of times that audience isn't looking to spend top dollar to come stay at that place.
Well, there's also the fact, and like, there's a lot of people that might say, like, I've got a rundown cabin that I haven't upgraded that does really well. And I think that's awesome. Like you said, there's a whole market of people for that, right? There are people that just need a place to stay and they don't care about anything that we're saying. And that's perfectly fine.
Yep.
The fear that I have in that, and the reason that I like the unique space and investing more into the property to make it the top of the market, is because if anything changes economically, right? Say we go into a recession, something like that, we can drop our prices. They can. Right. So if we're at $700 a night right now and we drop down to $150 a night, we're still making some money. There's still going to be a market of people that are coming out there and visiting, but they're not going to pay $700, right? Well, what happens then is you push everybody else out. Right. So if you've got a mortgage on your run-of-the-mill property, especially if it's $1 million place, right? You better be real careful that you're at the top, because should things change, you want to make sure that you can at least make some of that mortgage to mitigate the risk.
Yep. Yeah. No, exactly. And one point I want to mention as well is the concept of expense versus investment is, from an investment standpoint, putting that money in the property, it's not like that money is just going in there and not working for you, right? A lot of times you're going to invest that money into design, updating the property. Maybe you renovate a garage into a game room, whatever that may be. You add a deck and a hot tub. You increase the appraised value, purchase price, or the appraised price of your property, right? Yeah. And there, right then and there, you're putting that money to work from an equity standpoint, right? Yep. And we haven't even gotten into how much this thing's gonna make revenue and cash flow wise, right?
Yep.
Like that alone, it's a double win, right? You're not going to see the equity right out of the gates unless, maybe you do a cash out, you could pull some cash out, but that's going to be something that plays into the property down the road for you that I think is well worth it, versus if you just kind of throw a bunch of stuff in there and maybe you spend a third of the amount of money, but it doesn't increase the appraised value. That's like, okay, great. Now you're totally banking on the thing renting out and it producing the revenue you need to produce. Otherwise you're in a bind.
The other thing that's hard about that though, like from investment versus expense, is like, it doesn't matter what property you get, right? They're houses and they fall apart. That's the only thing that they're good at, right? So immediately after close, things are going to start breaking. So if you're planning, I'll just save up a little bit, right? And then go back and do this. It's like, firstly, you didn't do the things to have all the surplus cash flow that you need anyway, right? So if you didn't do those out the gate and then things start breaking, it's like you're putting yourself in kind of a downward spiral. Whereas the alternative is like, bite off everything right at the get-go, right? Put it into the original loan or whatever it is that you need to do up front. Make sure your numbers work. And then when you do that, the cash flow is going to be a whole lot higher. The maintenance issues are going to be a whole lot lower, right? So then you can start paying that off right away, right? And you're going to get from day one all the benefits of that. And that's been a tough lesson for us to learn. I feel like, as soon as we hit here, we'll do this. And it's like, we can't get there unless you do that. It's like kind of contradictory.
That's what I was gonna say. I think we both learned our lesson on that one, because that was the approach I took with our first property down in Texas. It was like, great, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it renting. I'm going to get money in the door. And the philosophy works until the unknown expenses happen that you weren't planning, right?
Yep.
When the curveball comes, you're like, well, shoot, I'll do that next year, right?
Yeah.
It becomes this do it later mentality that it's like, it's the concept of, kicking the can down the road, procrastinating it until the timing, everything is right. The stars have aligned. Perfect. Now I can, implement my grand vision. Spoiler alert, that moment is more than likely never going to. If you approach it from a do it later mentality versus if you are proactive up front and you plan for it, right? Like, okay, great. I got to buy property and now I need to invest money into the design of the property, into amenities, into furniture, into all these things, right? And going through that. And I just think do it later mentality is the ultimate, like, if you have a dream, if you have a goal and growth mindset with your property, it's going to stop right there. Once you say I'm going to do it later, because I can tell you right now, it's unless interest rates drop, and I always say this is like, if interest rates drop to 2% or whatever they may drop to, we would be crushing it at all of our properties, right? Regardless of uniqueness. But that is, I don't think something you ever want to bank on, right? And there's going to be if that does happen, there's going to be a short window of time when you can refi and get in at rates, right? Otherwise,
but also waiting for that to me is just ridiculous. Like if you can't make it work at 5%, what's to say you're gonna make it work at 2%? You should make it work at 5%. Like if you've got a property that you can make unique, you can invest in, you can do all these things, and you can be confident in it and make it work at 5%, and then all of a sudden they drop to 2% and you refi.
It's just even better.
Yeah, right. Just quit your other jobs and sell your other properties and hold on to that one, because you'll be in a fantastic place at that point.
Exactly. So it's, I think, like I said, it's definitely an art of actually standing out. It's not let me check the boxes, right? I got a spreadsheet and I got a hot tub. I need a hot tub. I need this. I need this. I need this. I need this. Great. I checked the boxes. I'm good to go. I'm going to put it in myself, and save a few bucks. Right.
Yeah.
I think with that, a few takeaways that I want to mention is, and we always harp on this, but I think it's just nice to just continue hammering it home, right? Is if everyone else is doing it, or if everyone else has it. Perfect example I will use till the end of time. If everyone else has a hot tub, go 1 or even 10 steps further than that. We had that exact opportunity at the Naturalist and Stoic, where we were almost to the point of just simply putting a hot tub on a deck. Deck would have been cool, don't get me wrong. Like it would have boosted things, but we were very much going to stop there, right?
Yep.
We took the next 2 to 10 steps and decided to put a hot tub up on top of boulder. Then we took it even further and put a hot tub on an even bigger boulder and built it into the cliff, right? And it amazes me every day, the attention and return that type of property gets. So when you look at it from that perspective and through that lens, if everyone else is doing it, challenge yourself to say, okay, great. How can I take this and make it better than that, right? So if someone's coming through and they find your property on social media or Airbnb, right? And they have your 2 properties up next to each other, it doesn't become a thing of like, okay, they both have hot tubs, they both have rainfall shower heads, they both have a living room, right? If they're all the same, it then either becomes, okay, this one's maybe designed better, or this one isn't. Or if everything else is the same, what starts happening? They just look at the price and like, whichever one's cheaper, I'd be foolish not to go with the cheaper option. The exact
and the emotional connection, right? If you've got those things, like one of my favorite things that I always hear is, we put a sauna in. Everybody comes for the sauna, and I've only had it used 3 times. Right. And it's like, okay, well, what are they paying for? They're going there, they're not using anything. But I think that's like what most people want, is the emotional connection as they're looking at the listing. They're envisioning themselves, their family or their significant other going there, utilizing the full capabilities that property has. That's what they're paying for. And then they get there and they might change their mind, and that's perfectly fine. But you're really trying to trigger that emotional response of come here, relax, forget about the stressors of life, right? And then go back.
Yep. Yeah. No, exactly. The second point I want to mention, and this is maybe calling myself out. I don't want to group you into this category because maybe you'll get offended, but I'm going to group myself into this category, is unless you're super talented, most of these things are not DIY projects, right? Some are, I will say some definitely are. But I would have no business building a deck, steps, and a hot tub into a cliff and a boulder. I can tell you right now, that thing would not have been structurally sound. We'd probably still be building it and, have spent 10x more, right? Another perfect example. I always use this wall behind me. Everyone's like, oh, dude, love the backdrop, love the wall. I was at a point with this wall of either doing it myself or having someone else do it. Well, and guess what I did? I had someone else do it, right? Because more than likely, these slats would have been crooked. One would have popped out. There would have been smudges with the paint. And it would have taken me 4 or 5 weeks to do it and way more money, right? Even though I thought I was saving money. Versus, I had my wife talk to a painter and trim carpenter she knew. This wall was done in 2 days. And it's 10 times better than I could ever do. So, again, unless you're super talented, more than likely, it's not a DIY project. And you should hire the professionals that know what they're doing. Now, a word of caution. Don't just hire anyone that says, I'm a professional, right? You need to vet them and make sure, one, the person's, not taking advantage of it because they see like, okay, well, this guy never be able to do this. I'm going to charge 10x the price because I can get that out of this person, right? And also, I think a lot of people, will promise, I can get that done, but they're just looking at it from the money perspective, right? They may do it, not up to the standard or quality that you're looking for. So just a word of caution is make sure you vet anyone that you do intend to work with, whether that be design
and add in like incentive-based contracts. That's something that I've learned a lot about recently. Is just, at the end of it, if they don't do what they said they were going to do, what happens? Right. Is it no payment? Is it decreased payment? Is it they haven't fixed it? Is it you hire somebody else, deduct that from their payment? Like, how does that work? Because there's communicating your expectations is very challenging. Mm-hmm. Everybody thinks something different, even if you're sitting there looking at a photo.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. And that point is perfect, because I was going to mention that is, it doesn't mean like hire the professionals, kick your feet up and let them just go to town, right? You still have to be involved, and you still have to take whatever you're visualizing and wanting to implement and transferring that to them. And it even goes more than just like put a hot tub on the boulder. If we had stopped there, I think it would have still been done great, but maybe not what we had originally envisioned. Mm-hmm. And there's give and take with that, right? Like working with professionals, communicating what you want, but you're going to have, as those projects go forward, lean on those professionals as they make recommendations. Like, hey, based on this, we got this far into the project. I think it would be better served if we went this route, right? Mm-hmm. Has to be that communication back and forth. So,
yep.
There are investors out there. I think they're not far and few between, but there's some of the better ones. Is they are able to do it themselves, but it's very obvious they know what they're doing, right? Versus it's like, the person who decided to get into real estate 6 months ago that grabs a hammer and be like, I'm going to go build this deck and hot tub myself because I can save 10 grand, right? It's
good luck.
Yeah. It's just lean on the professionals. So the ROI on the backside will be well worth it.
I almost want to tell those people, like, just call me on your trips to Lowe's, all of them, because I want to see how many minutes we're on the phone, like calculate how much time you wasted.
Oh my, I mean, we have done that a few times with some of our properties. I remember, like, I was tracking miles for our Texas property. I can't tell you how many times I drove an hour and a half because there wasn't a Lowe's or Home Depot nearby. I had to go to, I think it was like Beaumont or something down near Crystal Beach. And I mean, I spent hours just driving to go get supplies and stuff I needed just to come back. And I either, spent too much, so I had a lot left over that I was going to have to return down the road, or I grabbed the wrong part. And I'm like, well, great. Now it's a 3-hour turnaround for me to go and grab this thing. And I only plan to be down here for 10 days, right? It just becomes a headache. So, but the last thing, and I think this is an important part, and people have heard it before, is don't be afraid to be bold. And if it's, just because you are like, Jordan, I would never do that in my house. Perfect. Because this is not your house, right? I mean,
you're on the right track.
Technically, but it's not your house. It is something that people are coming to experience, right? You need to capture attention, and people are looking to stay in something that it's unlike anything they've seen before.
That's why they're coming. That's specifically why they're coming. If you say this is not my house, it's like, that's exactly what they want, right? If they can get it at their house, you're doing something wrong.
Right.
If you're building something that they're going to say, like, I really want to be seen here, then you're on the right track. And that could be, that actually is a great segue into my, would you book it? Because it is, I would never in my entire life do anything that this house has in my house, but I would rent it all day long, because I think there are a lot of people that say the same. They're like, I think it's cute. I think it's fun. And I think it would make me like energized and pumped for a weekend, a day, a date, whatever. Right. And that's exactly what you're going for with this. It's just to have them be seen.
Yep, exactly. Hey guys, real quick, just want to jump in here and say, if this show has been sparking ideas and helping you level up your short-term rental game, we would be so grateful if you drop us a 5-star review. It helps us and this show reach even more people who want to build wealth through unique, unforgettable stays, just like you. So thanks for being a listener. Now, back to the show. I think that's a perfect transition into our Would You Book It segment. So obviously Mike's going to go first, because it wouldn't be a transition without him going first. So for anyone new that is listening, we do the Would You Book It segment each week, where we look at a property from a perspective of, from a guest perspective, would you go and stay there? Would you go and book it? And then from a host perspective, would you be willing to host that property? And we try to look at from this perspective of, actually putting on the hat of a guest and be like, would I actually want to go stay there? And then from a host perspective, is this something I want to host? Is it too unique? Is it too far gone to where there's a lot of management headaches that want to be worth it? So with that being said, you are up, sir, and I'm excited
Take it away.
To see what you got going on.
I was actually a little bummed. We met when I first clicked it. I thought it was a girl that we had met at the conference we went to recently. And it's not hers. It's not hers. It's a different one. But very similar house.
Dude.
Very similar house. Pink Dreams, right? Sleeps 22 with a pool, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. There's pretty much not a single thing in this house that I'd like to see in my house.
You don't like that light picture?
Not a single, not a single one. But that being said, I do think that there are a lot of people that would love this for a fun weekend. Right?
Yeah. Instagram worthy, taking photos of.
The thing that gets me too is like, you make a bright pink house, you don't even have to upgrade your appliances. They kind of fit in with it.
It just kind of blends in. Yep.
Yeah. But I can see this crushing it. Let's see. Is she? Yeah. I wouldn't say crushing it, but
again, I don't. This is something we've talked about before. Is this house very well she may just have it on Airbnb.
Mm-hmm.
It's just listed there. No one else knows about it.
Yeah.
Versus, there may be a whole audience of people that don't even I didn't realize this property existed. Right? Not that I'm going after a property like this. Maybe that's spoiler alert on me as a guest, but I think there's probably a huge audience of people that just don't realize this place exists.
So
that's the girl that we.
Yeah, this is the one that we were looking at. I kind of want to see what the difference is, because this girl does a ton of posting.
Yeah, well, honestly, what she has 1 million. Does she have 1 million followers now?
I don't know.
I think it was 1 million followers. 1 million.
Dude, that's insane.
I don't think she was at 1 million when we met.
No, she wasn't. She's probably making more on Airbnb than she is. On Instagram and it's on Airbnb.
Yeah.
This is why I thought it was the same, because Pink Dreams versus Pink Dream.
But I think also this is a perfect example of, I think hers, honestly, is executed better. Now, I'm wondering if she just crushes weekends.
Yeah, it looks like that's what it is.
Yeah.
So 3 nights, 1,028. This is 3 nights for 1,674. So a little bit more expensive there, but at the same time, two, I'll say, different big houses, both unique in their own right.
Yeah.
For me personally, like you would never catch me dead in this house. If my wife rented it and was like, it's the last place in Myrtle Beach,
I know where our annual planning meeting is going to be.
I'm just going to tell her, like, you go have fun. I'm going to stay home and do whatever I want, because I'm not going there. Right.
You get a place would give me a headache after that time.
But exactly. It's just too bright. But that being said, I'd own it. If it was a good rental and I could prove that it was going to be a great rental in that market, like, absolutely, I'd own it.
Dude, we can market the heck out of that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
And
what about you?
You wouldn't catch me dead saying that property like that, right? Again, like, it ain't for me. From a host perspective, same thing, right? If it's done well, which I think both are done well. I think it's obvious. I think the other one is done better. The Pink Dreams Cottage, I think, is executed better.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, yes, I would host it, because if executed properly, I think could absolutely crush.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And I think the social media piece plays into it. I think with the difference on Pink Dreams Cottage versus Pink Dream Home, well, not far off in the name, is Pink Dreams Cottage. I don't think she's as focused on maximizing the rental potential there. I think what she's using that property for, not many investors are doing this, she's using it as a tool to promote her brand on Instagram. Mm-hmm. And her brand is what's making her all the money. The property probably still crushes it and makes money, but at 1 million followers and that type of attention, you're going to start getting other brands that are knocking on your door, other just monetization opportunities that are more than Airbnb. So,
yep.
But
totally.
Yeah. Pink houses. No, I would say not for me. So,
I thought I'd switch it up. I thought, what is not me?
I've seen and I don't think it's real, but I think it's one of those Airbnb experiences. It's like one of those virtual experiences where you can log in and experience like that Barbie house. Have you seen that before?
Barbie house? I don't think so. I've seen the pink ones.
Let me pull this up here real quick. Barbie house Airbnb. Like it's. I don't think it's real. But I just can't. Yeah, right here. No, don't do. Okay, let me shoot. And then I will do my would you book it segment. So I want to make sure I don't share the wrong screen, because then I'll give mine away. That's
done.
This one.
I've not seen that.
So Airbnb offers chance to stay at Malibu Barbie Mansion for 2 free nights. It looks fake.
Yeah. Could you imagine
like, is it real?
That much money on that size house in Malibu? That's nuts to me.
Yeah. Hunted Barbie. Yeah, I don't know. Boosting dance floor. I think it's real. I don't know though, but for me, like, it's just too much. But I would never stay in it again.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It looks like a Barbie house. But with that being said, let me swing over my actual Would You Book It segment.
What you got?
Which is not a pink house at all. Not even close.
Dude, I almost pulled one very similar to that.
So this is I keep finding these houses that are using a great name, right? The Hideaway at Creekside Meadows Hobbit House. It's an earthen home in Clancy, Montana. I would say from the outside, nothing super spectacular, but as I dug into it, well designed.
Yeah.
Good, honestly, great experiential content. This one, I love that shot. The gals on the couch and the sofas, enjoying some cups of coffee. But I think it's just executed well.
Oh, it's cool.
Designed well, cool.
Click on the cheers photo. Yeah. That's a lot of people. So this is a really good point. When I look at that cabin, I immediately think small. Yeah. I immediately think like there's not a lot of space, can't fit a lot of people. And seeing this, I'm like, oh, this is great.
2 bed, 1 bath, 9 bed.
Oh, wow.
So I'll show you why. So as we go through here, so I think that's probably like the master.
Oh,
there you go. There you go. Cool. But isn't that sweet?
Yeah. That's really cool.
And then this one, again, very cool concept built into the mound, a peak. Yeah. Oh, they got a secret room. See? Then you start tapping into this little like concept of the secret room. You start to pique people's interest and be like,
that's cool.
How do I get into the secret room?
Yeah.
The bunk beds, I think, are just executed flawlessly. I think at that point, that's just not a kid's area that you could stay at. That's where all those gals, they would.
Yeah. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good idea.
But this was why I picked it. I thought this was cool.
Shower?
The shower. I thought that was so cool.
Is that a tree trunk?
I think, well, it's probably meant to resemble a tree trunk. But
that's thick.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Like,
that's thick. I like that a lot.
Very bold. It's very unique.
Yeah.
Got a little gnome there. And then I saw this. This one kind of threw me off a little bit until I clicked on it. It's another Airbnb they have. That's a bar and B. It's a bar B&B. I think they promote it to like family, reunions, retreats, events. I will say of the two, I think this earthen home is better executed than this one. I clicked on this and was underimpressed.
Yeah.
But overall, I think this one is executed great. I think
they really thought that out. That's cool.
Wine cellar, I think that's super cool.
Yeah.
But again, this is more than just them buying a wine rack and putting wine in it. They've built this whole cellar concept where they painted, they textured the walls, they built the wall stand. Like you walk in that probably feels like an actual wine cellar, right?
Yeah.
Versus someone that bought something from Wayfair and put some bottles of wine on them and like, ta-da.
Yep.
So with that being said,
with the map and everything, I like that.
Yeah. With that being said, the earthen home, would you say?
100%.
You would?
I would say, and I would absolutely love to host that thing. I would love to have one of those. I think they're really cool.
Yep. I am right there with you. I would love to stay. I would love to take family. Yeah. I think it'd be a fun experience, family. And I think also, like, our kids are, our oldest is at a fun age of 4 or 5 years old where you'd see this and if I tell him like it's under the ground and it's like this tower is built out of a tree, I think he would just eat it up.
Yep.
I think it would be such a cool experience. So I'm with you.
I can totally see Gavin like running in there. Oh my gosh, look at this.
So he is, side note, completely unrelated to short-term rentals. We'll see if this phase lasts, but it's lasted for a year. He is obsessed with birds.
That's cool.
I'm like, he'll rattle off bird names and point them out while we're driving. Like that, these were birds I never realized even existed. Like we'll be driving down the road. He'd be like, Dad, look, there's a black-capped chickadee. I'm like, what? So
that's awesome.
So he would, side note, he would love this from a nature perspective because there would probably be so many birds out there that he would be super excited.
That's pretty sick.
But But yeah, so guest perspective for me all day long, I would stay here, bring my family here. And from a host perspective, same thing. I think I always look at these, unique properties from a marketing perspective. And I obviously know you do because you lived and breathed it, still do to this day. Being able to promote that property would be cake. Oh gosh, would be just
that's why those that it does not matter where you build.
Yep.
Right. You build that, and if you've got any sort of sense behind you in marketing, like you could very easily get people to come stay at that.
Yep. Maybe I'm just not familiar with Montana, but Clancy, Montana, ever been?
Nope.
Yeah, exactly.
Nope. I am surprised there's no pictures though. If it's Montana,
I thought there was. There's one. There's a few of them.
Okay.
A couple snow photos. So, but nothing spectacular.
Far enough.
But again, like I think this one, I looked at the calendar, does well. 4.94 stars, 339 reviews. Again, does well. They probably only promote on Airbnb.
Yep.
I think it would do a lot better with some extra marketing, and even the photos are good. I think they could be even better. Yeah, and really stand out. So
I agree with that.
Very cool property. I would stay.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And I would host. Maybe it'll be something we build in the future. Who knows?
Or dig.
Yeah,
build.
I don't even know how you start going about building something like that, but maybe it's just you probably just build the mold and then you just plant grass and stuff on top of it. And
I was wondering that if they actually just buried it, dug a big hole and buried it.
That's the only thing I would think to do.
Yeah.
So
but that's cool. Good job.
Yeah, that was good picks this week. Look at us. We're starting to get on a roll with these would you book segments.
No more buses. No more.
I almost brought on an Airstream. But I was like, nope, I can't go back.
Got scared?
Yeah, I got real nervous.
That's okay.
But anyways, well, good topic, man. As always, that does it. Another amazing, fantastic, top tier episode of the Hideaway Show Behind the Curtain edition. I'm Jordan Holmes. He's Mike Sebastian. Until next time, take care, everyone.